Session. Today is August 6th. First item of business is just calling us to order and having roll call. Stephanie, would you mind doing roll call for us?
Councilmember Chmielewski.
Present.
Councilmember Cerna.
Here.
Councilmember Barton.
Here.
Councilmember Elam.
Here.
Councilmember Fry is absent. Vice President Kingsley. Here. President Sokolowski.
Here.
And Mayor Aronson is absent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Before we get started, did we have any public comments that came in related to anything from last meeting or this meeting that we would want to add? Thank you. All right. Prior to our meeting this evening, Borough Council held an executive session on personnel and legal matters this evening. All right. This evening we have a few presentations. We'll start out inviting Justin Claffey and Tim Beckel to the podium. We'll be listening to a presentation on our local climate action plan. And
Good to
there
see
you
you
guys
all
are.
again.
There you go.
Where are the matching outfits?
You did. You
I
tried.
Oh, there you go. So Tim wasn't on the email list.
I wanted to avoid it at all costs. For those who don't know, last time we did an EAC presentation, Justin and I were exactly matching. So,
And worked at Best Buy.
yeah. Yes. Good to see you all again. I think it's been a little less than a year since we've kind of came in and given an update. So we have, Justin's here with me, and we also have folks with the Philadelphia Energy Authority and PosiGen that'll be able to hopefully maybe answer some questions if you guys have some as we go through the presentation. I'm going to hand it over to the smart people soon enough, but I want to kind of recap where we are in Ready for 100 process, basically. So if you recall, Conshohocken Borough Council back in 2019 passed the Ready for 100 resolution, which committed the borough community-wide to achieving clean and renewable energy. As part of that, the EAC in 2023 entered the LCAP program, which is Local Climate Action Program, which is funded by the Department of Environmental Protection, so no cost, out-of-pocket costs to the taxpayers. Justin and I worked closely with a Penn State student and their advisor. It's a two-phase process, basically. So there's a measurement phase and then a modeling phase. So we went through the measurement phase, which measured the greenhouse gas emissions of Conshohocken Borough. Not just the municipality, but the community at large. And then the modeling phase 2 was basically to look at different ways that we could reduce those greenhouse gas emissions and model what the impact would be. And that's what Justin and I presented to you, I think, last fall. We had the opportunity, again, at no cost to the taxpayers, to basically extend the LCAP for an additional couple months. The Penn State student and their advisor wanted to continue on, do a capstone project. So what we did was had him focus on solar initiatives, basically, that we could look at in more detail. And Justin was, instrumental in moving that along. So I will pass it to him now. And this is that's the mic. Oh, okay. And just I talked about before I pass it to Justin. I talked about the measurement phase, the phase 1. So this is what we came up with, which was the greenhouse gas emissions and where they come from in our community. So primarily residential energy, commercial energy, and then transportation. And again, that's where we focused our modeling efforts to reduce those main categories. But again, we took a deeper dive into solar energy. So I'll pass it to Justin.
Just Tim, is that using the 2020 census data?
Yeah, the population was.
Yeah.
The energy was 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought about it already of can we do it again? I mean, we haven't talked about it as an EAC, but that was not an ideal time to measure for our community. So it's probably already time to measure again, or maybe in a year because the data lags from PICO and different sources that we use. It's good data, but it does lag.
And we have kept that relationship with Penn State as well. Like, they're very interested in continuing to work with us, which is great. So kicking this off, one of the big action items from the LCAP was green power purchasing. As you saw, residential and commercial energy was the biggest two impacts. So that's where we're going to hit on solar specific today. So we got three things we're focusing on, two in particular. So the community choice aggregation is, we're going to hit on it, but it's not going to be the focus. The solar energy with photovoltaic, that's the only time I'm going to say that word, and solar power purchase agreements are going to be the main focus. So looking at those all side by side, so community choice aggregation is, that would be like if just Conshohocken Borough went in, talked to PICO, and kind of negotiated a green power purchasing agreement of all solar, all wind, combination of them, etc. So it would be pretty much same as usual, but you can get a fixed price. You can normally lower it down if you're covering a whole municipality, etc. That's community choice aggregation. Again, that'll pretty much be all I mention that for. So the solar PV systems we'll touch on, that is individual buildings getting solar panels. That's what everyone thinks of when they think solar. Energy provider role would be the same. Transmission, billing, and net metering. I'll dive into net metering in a second. Lower energy costs and potential net meter credits. That'll be a part of that net metering I'll talk about in a second. More hands-on for the building owner in the implementation, and more hands-on for building owner or the leasing company when it comes to maintenance. The solar power purchase agreement is a group of municipalities and or businesses going in together in kind of a collaborative way. Third-party private companies normally handle the maintenance as well as the transmission and billing, potentially lower costs and long-term fixed rates, and minimal cost to the entity and implementation, as that third party will be the builder, all those things. So that's kind of the overview. This one just kind of touching on little things like the solar panel industry coming down cost-wise over the last few decades, and then net metering. So high-level net metering, everyone knows you have your electric meter at your house. It tells you how much energy you use, you pay the bill. Net metering with solar panels, essentially, the solar panels are connected to the grid still, and if you're not at home and the sun is out, it's creating energy. That energy then goes into the grid, so you're giving energy to neighbors. So if your neighbor has the AC on, it goes there. So that is a credit you would get overall. So if you use less energy than the solar panels produce, you can get a credit for that month. So that's net metering. So it's more fluctuant than what you have at home probably now, which is just a regular meter. You use electric, you pay for it. And I'm sure questions will come up for that in a little bit. So this is an overview of how Calvin, the Penn State student, went through this. So he used Helioscope, was the software to design these and simulate their impacts. Basic configurations, so nothing super crazy as far as the design, and then it was based off utility bills, again, from 2022. And what we'll be looking at is this building, Borough Administration Building, Community Center at Fellowship House, Public Works, and Sutcliffe Park. And then quickly, kind of how the math works out, the optimal annual energy production in kilowatt hours. That's what you see on your bills. So the solar system will be in kilowatts. It'll be multiplied by the average peak sun hours per day, which is 4.5 over the year, and then the days of the year. So 150 kilowatt solar system would produce 246,375 kilowatt hours. That into megawatt hours is 246. That's your optimum energy. Then there's a 20% real world loss to give you 197.1. The real world loss is, at a high level, a power plant creates a bunch of energy. It goes through transmission lines, goes through a substation transformer. Before it comes to your house, you flip on the light and the light comes on. There's a 20% loss normally in that transaction, from energy being created to hitting your house, about 20%. So when you hear buzzing at high voltage lines, that's it losing energy. That is what that is. So just FYI, high level there. Diving into it. So the Borough building, where we are right now, the model he did was a 134.6 kilowatt system. So the monthly average, again, this is 2022, 76.7 megawatt hours. Annually, that would be 920.4. This system would produce 164.6 megawatt hours per year, giving you an offset of the 17.9%. That would be this building. That chart you see, kind of top right with the colors, the blue is the energy used, The orange is the solar power offsetting it. So you can see summer months peaks, winter months a little different. Community center, so this was a 21.6 system. The monthly usage 12 for an annual of 144. This one produces 30.9 megawatt hours per year with an offset of 21% annually. This one is my favorite, so the Public Works building. So obviously not a ton of energy goes in there. So monthly 1.7, annually 20.4. With a 32.98 kilowatt system, it produces 47.2 megawatt hours per year for an annual surplus of 231.4%. So going back to the net metering, the Public Works building would essentially become a little power plant. So 100% of its electricity would be covered, and then the remaining would go into the grid, go to neighbors' houses. So those neighbors that are receiving that are getting cleaner without having to do a single thing. And you can see that chart does not have any blue because the orange covers it all year round. So that's my favorite for obvious reasons. This one, Calvin wanted to have a little fun. So this is Sutcliffe Park, the parking. So if anyone's been to Lot K at Lincoln Financial Field, the carports with the solar panels, that is the mindset here. So there would still be parking. These will be over those cars. This would be a 116 kilowatt system, and he used all the streetlights in the borough for this one. So all the streetlights produce 14.6 for 175.2 megawatt hours per year, and the energy production would be 149.8 megawatts hours per year for an 85.4% offset. All right. For those of you who remember the LCAP, this is the chart to the left might be familiar. So the top line is business as usual. The chart to the right shows those numbers in CO2 equivalent metric tons. So the business as usual for buildings and streetlights for 2024, 381. We left the streetlights because that was kind of a made-up little project by Calvin. So we're just using the building. So 2025, if we implemented all of those building projects I just mentioned, we would cut it by more than 50% to 106 CO2 equivalent metric tons. The streetlights remain because we didn't touch them. 2050, I'll kind of explain this really quick. Business as usual goes down naturally over time because the assumption is the grid will get cleaner over time no matter what. It's just, is it going at a quick enough pace? And then the buildings and facilities with the solar panels goes up a little bit because of production, carbon footprint of production of solar panels, things like that. So going through that. Now, solar power purchase agreements. So blowing through this one, just fixed rates. This is the neighboring municipalities mindset. So we have two examples of this. So Penn State University is one. They have a 70 megawatt solar array, which means 25% of their demand, avoiding 57,000 metric tons of CO2 emissions annually. That is Conshohocken. We're like 57,500 was what we baselined in 2022. So that's Conshohocken. Cost savings, 2.5 million in the first 2 years. The next one is the Center Region Council of Governments. So this is Center County, a bunch of municipalities within Center County, which is the county State College is in. This project, 22 megawatt array that meets 82% of the electric demand of those municipalities, projected to avoid 16,000 metric tons of CO2 emissions. So the cost for this one, a 15-year contract with 1.5 annual price escalator. So those are just seeing SPPAs in real life. Feasibility challenges, real quick. So feasibility, just the cost reduction in solar panels to do the individual building side of things, and financial incentives. We all know tax credits and whatnot are a little wonky right now. Challenges, the initial upfront costs and the payback period. SPPA feasibility is we have examples of successful ones, and also low to no upfront initial costs. Challenges is they're complex. You need to partner with the other municipalities to make that come to life, and then you have a construction project ahead of you after that. Recommendations, just explore them. And it's not one or the other. It's both can work. If we just do solar panels on one building that's very big energy, and then we have an SPPA for the rest of the borough, that has a huge impact. So recommendation, just glance and ask questions. With that, PosiGen, a Conshohocken neighbor, Adrian introduced us to. They were at Greenfest, and they introduced us to the Philadelphia Energy Authority. And we just would like Atiba to come up and kind of introduce himself. So this is someone that could help us implement this right now.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Atiba Kenyatta, Outreach Manager for the Philadelphia Energy Authority. And I just want to thank you for your time. This is magnificent work by the Conshohocken EAC, and we just want to help take this to the next step. We've partnered with a professional team at the Pennsylvania Solar Center. And we just want to take this from idea to action. Solarize Greater Philadelphia is a regional commercial solar initiative serving the 5-county area, focused on supporting businesses and tax-exempt entities. The program offers free technical assistance and unbiased financial guidance, including solar feasibility studies, financial projections, competitive bidding through an RFP process, and help with securing qualified developers. As Justin mentioned, going solar now creates predictable and stable energy costs. And what we did not discuss is the very time-sensitive investment tax credits, as there are important deadlines approaching, like the end of this year. The 30% direct payments that can be accessed by municipalities like yours are starting to wind down, which creates urgency for acting now. The next steps will be for us to get you to our Get Solar intake form, and we'll be glad to share that with you. We look forward to collaborating with you. It's great that council is considering going solar. It's going to really help your township as well as your constituents. And we're happy to answer any questions going forward.
I have a question for you.
And there's
So you are the Greater Philadelphia Authority. So can you tell us a little bit about policy around solar with the change in administration and what you foresee from a policy perspective over the next several years?
Okay, well, we're the Philadelphia Energy Authority, but I have my colleague, Lisa Shulak with me. She's the Director of Commercial Programs. She should be.
Even better. Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Welcome.
Appreciate the question. Again, I'm Lisa. Thanks for having us here today. As Atiba mentioned, like the most important thing that is supporting the advancement of solar right now are tax credits, and they are you can access them as a municipality through what's called elective pay or direct pay. The BBA, the Federal Reconciliation Bill that was signed by President Trump on July 4th, accelerates it ends the tax credits more quickly than they were supposed to end, but there still is time. And the one deadline is next July 4th to start construction and still get 30% tax credit, which is very substantial. Another deadline is to finish construction by the end of 2027. If you start before July 4th of next year, you get 4 years to complete. If you don't start by then you start after July 4th, then you only have till the end of 2027 to complete. So these projects are, can be complex. Getting permission to operate, getting interconnection agreement from PICO can take some time. Where's Julian? Julian can certainly speak well to that challenge. As a solar installer, he's very familiar with that. So what we're saying is if you want to take advantage of basically a check from the federal government of 30% of the total cost of the equipment that you're going to be installing, this is the time to act, because there still is an opportunity. To answer the broader question about policy, we are working closely with the governor's office to make sure that whatever funding is available to the state, we're able to access. We are looking for ways to bring philanthropy into supporting solar initiatives. There's not a lot to be done with what's going on at the federal level right now, but working within the constraints that we have. It's the best I can say.
Thank you.
Sure.
I guess this next question that I have, if anybody doesn't have mind that I keep going. The next question probably is to the team that actually did some of the presentation on the survey. You talked about a standard loss ratio of 30%? 20%. Does that take into consideration the loss of days online of solar panels? Like, what goes into that loss ratio other than the leakage component?
That's really it. So that does not take into consideration loss. And that's a good point. If you are connected to the grid and power goes out, you do still lose power. A lot of people think that because you have solar panels, you're a little, that's not the case unless you have a battery system or a generator, some other source. But yeah, that's not including that. That's just a general from power plant to this. And another thing to bring up with that in mind is that's why I'm a fan of it on the building. That 80% loss or that 20% loss goes down the closer it is to its source. So if it's coming from a solar array in Harleysville to here, that's going to be very different of that 20% than if it's on the roof coming here. So just, that answer it?
It does, but it puts another expense, right, on the other end of it when you're looking at your ROI. So if we're thinking of this from an ROI perspective, you want to capture all your upfront expenses and then be able to determine what is the ROI and how many years to get to the ROI.
Yeah, which is why when you do the calculations, include the loss of 20%.
Plus the expense of potentially being down. Because if
I
you think
gotcha.
about this summer,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
far we've had so many storms that are high wind producing. So I would think that in a high wind storm, you may have loss of some panels and connection. So you'll have time down, which then would bring your calculations lower because you're offline, right?
I got you, yeah.
If I could just comment here for a moment, I actually haven't heard anybody talk about the 20% loss. I mean, it is kind of a theoretical thing, but if you're purchasing solar so the city of Philadelphia has one of these, just like Center County and Penn State has a power purchase agreement for a solar array that's in Adams County near Gettysburg, 70 megawatts, that's now powering roughly 25% of the municipality's electricity use. And we count that all of the generation that's coming from that facility. We don't take into account any transmission losses. I think the point of the transmission loss is the point you were making earlier, Justin, is that when it is local, when it is on your roof, when it is on your property, you don't have that loss. But it's not built into any ROI calculation that I've ever seen.
Gotcha.
And in terms of like downtime with storms, the reliability of solar is extremely high. Where the more the challenge is with transmission lines and with power lines, it's very unusual when you see solar panels go down because of wind or storms.
Anyone else?
No, I just wanted to thank you so much for, as we move towards the Ready for 100, this is an important piece of education. And just to see the presentation that you put together, I know you've put in a lot of time towards this. So again, I want to thank you too for putting in all of that extra time beyond just EAC meetings, also meeting on the side for this, putting in the time to crunch the numbers as well as put together this presentation. I really appreciate you. And this is all volunteer, so thank you so much for putting in your time to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that the presentation today gives us, some thought, food for thought. You gave us multiple options of things that we potentially could do to at least maybe start that process of looking to see, is that a direction that we can make as a feasibility in our strategic plan? So I appreciate that work from that perspective. And I thank you for bringing some experts in to, support what it is that
And
you've
we
done.
did bring one other person. I want to
Sure.
give Julian an opportunity to come up and just say hello with PosiGen. But thank you.
You're very welcome.
Good evening. My name is Julian Burnett with PosiGen Solar. we're a very happy neighbor around the corner. We love the location. It's a little bit closer to the city and gives us great access to the rest of the surrounding counties. Posigen is not a commercial installer, but we are a residential installer. And our true goal is solar for all for everyone. So if you want to purchase a system, hey, we have options for purchasing, not through Posigen, but through other installers. We can help you purchase a system. But however, if you don't mind, we do solar with no credit check, no income requirements, and we also do enabling upgrades to help your home go solar. So we don't necessarily target low to moderate income communities, but that's where we do our best work. Because if someone needs a roof, we help you, we take care of the roof. If you have an electrical panel that was installed in 1957, we help upgrade that to make sure your home is safe to go solar. And on every installation, we provide energy efficiency upgrades to make your home more comfortable and more energy efficient to lower your bills and also help the environment at the same time. So I'm just very grateful and thankful for this time, for the presentation. And the overall goal is to get Pennsylvania net zero by 2050. That's what the paper says. So we're just trying to do every little part, residential, transportation, industrial, commercial, utility scale, to make that a reality.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Well done. That was a plug for our residents to know that we have Posigen neighbors, to please reach out. All right. Where am I on my to-do list here? All right, next item on our agenda this evening is a presentation from our emergency management team. So I will invite up to the podium our emergency management team to present the update to the 2025 plan, or updates from the 2025 plan. Oh, look at this team. We got police, we got fire, we got everybody here. We got Watson. All right. You're on.
All right, I'll start it off. The emergency management part of municipality has increased substantially. I think everybody knows that over the last several years. And the big part of that is the population increase that we have in the municipality and the potential hazards that we have identified, small and large. The emergency management part of it generally deals with the larger hazards and the larger incidents. We have a team of people now that are not only well-informed, but well-trained, well-educated in how to handle these emergencies in the Borough of Conshohocken. But as you'll find out as they speak, our tentacles have reached out to Montgomery County, and we've actually we do a lot of work with Montgomery County, different areas, our municipal partners, and we've had a lot of interest from things that we have done, and we have gotten a lot of information from some of our municipal partners, even as far as North Carolina. So we'll do a small presentation on updating you on where we are and where we think we're going to end up very shortly.
First up, we'll have Megan speak about her little buddy there.
Everyone's favorite and loudest employee. So Watson's trained on 14 different ignitable liquids that he can detect. So I'll give you the heads up. I hid something under the podium where Sean is standing, but I'll let him, do his thing and show you what he's got, even though he might be past his bedtime now. Ready? If you have any snacks, don't find them.
Accelerants and my doctor. Does love the treats.
Wow. Wow.
So that's a very small sample of what we find microliters of these liquids in a baseball field, a football field, whatever. So he's super smart. He makes me look good. But so we graduated in May, fully certified as an arson dog. And then he's also certified in tracking live people, missing people. And he can do what they call article searches or evidence searches. So he can find anything that has human odor on it. So we've been able to assist a couple police departments in looking for things after, they might be looking for somebody that tossed something after a crime. So he's gone out and looked for that. We've gotten him into 7 or 8 fires already in surrounding municipalities. So he's becoming a bit of a celebrity.
Very photogenic.
Right. He's been in a helicopter?
Yeah, so part of our training, where they had a partnership with Jersey State Police, and got to fly in a helicopter. We got to train with the fire marshals in New York. They have 2 accelerant dogs as well, so we got to learn from them. And then the last picture is just him doing his thing. That's a fire in Bridgeport. He found, what we later found out was tiki wool on the ground.
And what did you hide under the podium?
That was True Fuel. Yeah, just a tiny little drop.
You mentioned that he's been to fires throughout the county.
Yep, he's been a couple municipalities in Montgomery County. We made our Bucks County debut about 2 weeks ago, so there's not too many of them out and about, so he's becoming a popular guy.
And Megan is one of our deputy fire marshals. She also comes with a law enforcement background, so she was a police officer before she came here. So it kind of fits. The role fits, and it's worked out very well. And Watson's become very popular.
And Megan will be bashful, and she won't discuss how much went into her with this program as well, but it's an accomplishment on both of their parts, not just Watson's.
I say he makes me look good. That's the smart one.
Beyond all the serious work, have you been able to meet with any children or children's groups?
Yeah, so he's super social, as you can tell. We did a demo for 40 screaming camp kids a couple weeks ago. He was mine, so he's a celebrity.
Trying to get people to come into the fire services is somewhat difficult. PR is very important. There's your PR. These are kids look at, kids see that. It's just another tool, and we joke about it, but it is a very useful tool, but it's also a very good PR. The dog plays a good PR function for their municipality. Throughout the county, throughout the state, actually.
Awesome. We will move on now to the rest of the fire department and water rescue.
So beginning in 2024, the fire department identified needs to update our equipment that was purchased 20 years ago as we replaced apparatus. Our hydraulic rescue tools were essentially on long hydraulic hoses off of our rescue apparatus. And recognizing the needs that were changing in the town as the buildings got bigger, we were limited in not being able to use them on the construction sites, in elevators, parking garages, and our newest equipment is completely battery operated, stronger than the tools we had before, and also waterproof, that we never had those capabilities. So in 2025, we completed the package update by including 2 hydraulic rams that you can see there in the picture. Those rams give us straight push capabilities of 20,000 pounds. So they can be used in pairs, singles, so that helps us with the construction sites, elevators, and also now with newer car technology. As the cars get stronger, our tools are keeping up. Additionally, we were able to complete our 4-boat package with matching boats starting in 2025, giving us the capability to split our resources from the east and west side of town with our apartment complexes that are now remote. It gives us the capabilities to have matching equipment, so it would never be that, oh, I need this boat here and flip-flop. We're able to provide our own safety services as we launch 1 or 2 boats. one or two boats are always in backup, and now all the equipment matches. So training becomes a lot easier. Our water team members are more comfortable with all matching equipment, and being newer, it's more efficient, more reliable, and lighter as well. So that additional boat gave us a lot of different capabilities as far as having our bigger river boats that can handle the large-scale floods, and now the smaller boats with removable motors allow us to do walkouts, more portable, smaller Plymouth Creek flooding in the Caldwell Lane area. So we are truly all spans of the flood world. So from river to the small creek flooding, we are prepared for that. In addition to, we added stair chairs into our inventory. For our high rises, power outages, equipment breaks, the fire department now has the right equipment to move people up and down the steps. And that allows us to operate a lot more safely. You can see a couple pictures of the training. The water team trains monthly in one aspect of the water rescue or another, from driving the boats, our high water vehicle operations, evacuations, and rope-based, water-based rescue. With that being said, our volunteers have become one of only 4 teams in the state of Pennsylvania that are a Type 1 all hazards water rescue team. And we are the only one of the 4 that are single source, meaning Conshohocken's team. All the other teams are county-based or a collection of other teams, and I think that's a big accomplishment by our volunteers who have stepped up to those challenges, continue to train, continue to travel to train. I think it's just a big thing to recognize of our volunteers.
All right.
What's
You
the
should
hourly
recognize the high
requirement?
water vehicle as you've all ridden in it.
What's the hourly requirement for a volunteer fireman?
For a fireman, it's 200 hours of training just for the firefighter 1 level. For the water rescue, it's an additional 72 hours on top of that.
That doesn't matter whether you're a paid full-time person or a volunteer.
Nope, it's the same across the board.
Steve, how many members of our team are actually trained in water rescue?
Currently, we have 25 trained. With the influx of new volunteers that we have right now, we are beginning by the end of the month to start that series all over again, and also looking to include public services, the police department, and other members of Conshohocken Borough that want to get involved on the water rescue team.
So with 25 trained, is there enough activity that keeps people fresh in this space, or is this something that, okay, I trained in it, I've got it on my belt, and then I may or may never use it?
I think that's a great question. I think it's proficiency that drives our volunteers to continue to come out to get, water rescue usually gets out more people than others. So our volunteers truly want to train and step up to those challenges, and it's great to see, and they're eager, and they have traveled to the Delaware River, to the Susquehanna River to train in different conditions to help them be more familiar with our equipment and the conditions they may experience.
Great, thank you.
And now Calvin will speak about our drone team.
All right, so the Conshohocken drone team consists of 14 Part 107 certified drone pilots. We currently have 8 drones in the cache. Throughout the year so far to date, we've responded to 32 dispatch incidents. One of the notable ones up there was the SPS warehouse fire. Multiple alarm fire. Our team was there for over 14 hours, operating multiple days. We had 6 pilots in total operating for that. Biggest use for that fire was identifying hazardous materials that were lighting off throughout the incident. There was rooms that were specifically showing high thermal areas, and our team was able to help direct the master streams, the ladder trucks, to put the fire out and eventually get the incident under control. Throughout the year, we've assisted the police department on various call types, from suspicious activity, fleeing subjects, overwatch for police officers during incidents, accident reconstruction for helping identify things throughout the accident. In addition, we've helped numerous municipalities neighboring with searches for their police department and fire departments from brush fires and actual structure fires as well. Another notable incident was our Pottstown incident. We helped the USAR team, Pottstown Police Department, as well as the Pottstown Water Rescue Team, their fire department, with locating a subject in the water. Our drone vehicle is up on the screen right now. That vehicle is equipped with one of our larger thermal drones. Also has a spotlight used for search and rescue. Also has 2 screens that are touch screen for us to display our mapping that may be going on, as well as the live feed of the drones. We also have in that one another smaller mapping drone that we can help with for weather events. After large weather events, for trees down, we can map those items. We can put them on our software that we use called CalTopo, so that all of our agencies within the borough can look at the same data and see, okay, we have a tree down blocking a roadway here, there's a car accident here, flooded roadway here, and we can have that stuff marked down on this software, and then also see it live to the drone operator. Yeah, that's it for the drone team.
Do you use the drones daily?
We train, so it's based on call activity. Some of the police department drone operators will have a drone with them in the event that a call unfolds. Same with the fire department. But additionally, we do train monthly on different scenarios, whether it be a search, a mapping incident, or indoor flight activity for something that may be for clearing a building for a hazmat, maybe some conditions that we can't enter personally without proper PPE, but we can send a drone in ahead of time to kind of get some eyes in there.
So some might ask, in a lot of what you all are talking about is you're going out on a lot of mutual aid and doing things in other municipalities. So some might ask, why would Conshohocken use our resources in other spaces? How would you answer that?
So in addition to using it primarily in Conshohocken, we've had probably 4 out of our 32 calls outside of Conshohocken. But we do have mutual aid partners that come in to assist us. So it's more of, when we need them, they're there to help us, and likewise to reciprocate.
So in the volunteer space, mutual aid is really what sustains all of you.
100%.
And brings more people to want to volunteer, I would think.
Correct.
That's not only in the volunteer space, that's in paid too. So,
correct.
We have a great relationship with Norristown Fire Department, for instance. Norristown Fire Department has paid shifts. And there's a mutual aid that goes back and forth with Norristown. Upper Marion's the same way, and Lower Marion especially. Tim Gunning, who wasn't able to be here, is on vacation, but he established a great relationship with Lower Marion Township, and they're here quite often, and vice versa. There's things that the Borough of Conshohocken can handle, and there's things that Borough of Conshohocken can't handle. We had a 400 West Elm Street. We had a person stuck on a what was it?
The high lift.
The high lift. We had 30 people here within 45 minutes. Before the news was here, the incident was cleared. And everybody knew each other because they have all trained with each other. They've all had conversations with each other. They know what everybody's capabilities are. Steve is on the USAR team, which is a county-run team that goes all over the county and the state. It's not only through the volunteer services, it's now through the paid services, which you're going to see more and more. You're going to see more and more paid services.
Thank you.
Right, and moving on to our incident planning with Sergeant Hall.
Thanks for having me. I don't have anything fun to talk about as far as drones and dogs and things. I will be boring you with PowerPoints and incident action plans. The borough continues to host these, seems to be larger and larger events. A big thing that goes into all these is pre-planning these things. And we have become better as a team. As Ray mentioned, we have good people in place to foster good communication from all of our departments, and we're able to more efficiently and effectively plan for these large-scale events. And we do so by generating incident action plans, which are documents that range from about 15 to 20 pages in length that ad nauseum all details ranging from the layout of the event, maps, points of contact for all departments. We have hospital locations, and we differentiate between trauma centers, burn centers. So for instance, the fireworks, we want to make sure that we know the local burn centers we may need to send people to, and also has a plethora of other things. And these incident action plans are disseminated amongst all departments, so everybody has the same game plan, everybody knows what we're doing. We've also started sharing briefing aids like PowerPoints, and we've also been utilizing CalTopo, as Calvin mentioned, from a mapping standpoint, so we can put posts, so officers or other personnel know where our assets are located, where they need to be. We have, for instance, route planning for the bike race for the Flyers Alumni Association. Those routes are shared, and we can actually share these maps through text links, so everyone can access them from their smart device as opposed to having to carry around large maps or printed out documents. They're readily accessible. As far as communication goes, speaking further, we've also been utilizing our self-dispatching technology in the room next to us in the Emergency Operations Center. So that helps us if we find ourselves in a major event where priority traffic is in place from county radio, we are still able to access calls for service that may not be sent out during that priority state, so we can still effectively and quickly respond to calls for service within the borough. Both fire and police, EMS, all are able to receive those dispatches and still send ourselves out there to where these incidents are occurring.
So is that like a sub-radio system where if the main system is being either used, you have an internal way to?
We do, it's an internal, so we have our county radios and we can operate off of different channels within that radio bank, so we're not clogging up any priority channels if there was a major event. And also we have our low band radios that we can talk within this radius of the borough. And we also have the emergency rapid radios, which are essentially fancy walkie-talkies that we actually deployed on the Flyers Alumni Association event. And we used those with the race marshals. So we were able to maintain contact with those civilian volunteers, and they were able to relay to our incident command any active events that needed to be addressed, such as any injuries on the race course, things like that. So we have multiple levels of communication to work with. Also, the other thing, we're trying to become more efficient overall with the barricade usage for these events that we've been hosting. So we've been documenting what barricades we're using, where we're using them, total number, and mapping out those locations, which you can see in the top right, which will just dictate exactly what's being blocked with what type of barricade, so we can continue to improve our deployment time with Public Works and more efficiently get set up and break down from these events, which overall just decreases our time that our various departments will need to be deployed at any given event. And also seen there, we have the mobile crash barricades, which we have utilized on both ends of Fayette Street. I believe we currently have a set, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're utilizing Norristown boroughs. Speaking of that mutual aid, so again, not only personnel, that also speaks to actual static resources that we can borrow from other municipalities. And we've deployed those and attempt to mitigate risk of any vehicle ramming type incident like what was seen in New Orleans beginning of this year. And that about wraps up what I have.
Question.
Yes.
Is it necessary to have that many across? Can you space them out, or do they need to be?
No, all of the, I don't know the exact working of them, but after witnessing the Public Works assemble them and disassemble them several times, I believe how they all do actually need to be connected, so they absorb the impact together, and essentially the vehicle will just get dislodged up on that and gets buried into the spikes get buried into the pavement.
Thank you.
What are we doing to keep up with best practices, right? In particular, I understand, right, every group has training, and you're constantly training. But when we're talking about, as we do more and more events and our events become more complex, what are we doing to keep up with best practices, learning from other municipalities?
So recently we have sent several members of the emergency management team to edits, which is a, sorry, I'm
Symposium.
thank you. We're basically putting on display where they do after-action reports from major incidents, not only from the state, but across the country. So it's fortunate for us that we get to learn from the experiences of others. So like these crash barriers, for instance, it's not, we don't have active threats of vehicle-borne attacks, but we would be considered failing at our job if we do not actively take knowledge from these past incidents and equip ourselves to.
Well, it's things like this, so yes, and that's great, but also just general management.
I can speak a little bit to that. So, I don't want to brag, but I think we're ahead of the game in most cases. I don't think we're the ones that go to other municipalities to look for information. They usually come to us. So, for instance, those crash barricades, we had ordered them prior to the incident that happened in New Orleans. So we had those, and we had another set that we had tried out that we didn't like because they weren't mobile enough for what our municipality needs. So we had already had those in place, ordered, demoed, everything else, and then Norristown came aboard, saw that we were going to order them. We had a subsequent demo for them, and Norristown ordered it at the same time. So now we have double what we had because we have an agreement with Norristown. We have 3 municipalities we're going to be delivering them to for the next over the next 3 weeks. Those municipalities want to use them, but they also want to put them in their budget for 2026 in order to have them. So then we'll be able to reach out to them for those things. Things like the 911, the EOC, and how we have the 911 set up with the EOC. If you didn't know, recently the state of Pennsylvania's 911 system went down. Nobody would ever think that could possibly happen, including myself. But I can tell you what didn't happen. We did not panic. We knew we had things in play and ways to handle that that other municipalities did not have, and probably had, for the first time, tried to address those situations. But we were fine. There was nobody in the Borough of Conshohocken that would have needed assistance that couldn't get it. But that's an example. Reaching out to other municipalities, we have, and mainly over big incidents. He spent 2.5 days in Abington Township with that fire, flying the drone. But it wasn't only the drone. He learned operations from the county, operations from other municipalities. Steve was there. Megan was there. So yes, we do learn in that sense. But I don't think there's anything that they've brought back, because we always have after-action reports. I don't think there's anything that they've brought back that we were not prepared for once we heard how the other municipality handled. Sometimes they handled it differently, and we use that. Sometimes we handled it better, and we're just going to use the procedure that we go ahead and use, which is ultimately, I think I've brought this up to everybody before. Independence as part of emergency management is something that's important to us. We want to be able to be independent. We want to be able to handle our situation internally as quickly as possible, and then if others need assistance, we want to be able to provide that.
So, first of all that is great, right? Very happy and very proud of all of you and what you do and what you continue to do. I want to add to that. I want you to continue to do that, and I want you to come to us when you need something to continue to do that, right? So it's great to say we're on a great path, we're doing the right things, but that takes work and effort, and so I from your head nodding, I can tell I'm telling you something you already know, but I want to make sure that we all know that we're very aggressive, we want to stay aggressive towards learning and continuing. So.
Well,
I
you're
think
providing a segue.
Okay.
I think that's across the board. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
The police department, the fire department, Narberth Ambulance, and their appreciation and how they're treated in the Borough of Conshohocken. So, and it's because we've had an open-minded council for several years that have put an emphasis on this. We certainly don't want to get caught in a situation where we're trying to figure it out once it happens. And as far
Or
as...
that we need something after it happens. So,
Well,
yeah.
you'll hear from me in September.
No.
But yes, I'll give you, the last example I'll give you is what happened in New York recently. So what happened in New York recently where somebody armed got out of their car in the middle of the street, walked into a building. We've already had a meeting with somebody, with a company that's, believe it or not, out of the 1100 block of Hector Street, out of the Lee Park building, that can identify a weapon on somebody. If it's holstered like a police officer's gun, it will not identify it. But as soon as it's taken out, it identifies it. We had it demoed 2 weeks prior to this incident happening. And that will appear, that service will appear in our upcoming budget request. So somebody on the street, somebody in the building, quickly identified, goes to the cell phones of the police department, police officers who are working, goes to their cars, dispatched to 911 right away. I believe that the city of New York might be looking at that similar thing now. So we are always looking out.
Good.
Ray, you want to touch on?
Well, yeah, obviously everybody knows about the public safety building. That's a big deal for everybody. It's a very important part of what the future of emergency management here is. So you'll hear more about this as we go along. As much of an emphasis as I like to put on the building, the people that are doing this work here, the volunteers and the paid people, the emphasis should be on them. Those are the people that are really, if we didn't have them, we wouldn't need that. We have the people that can make a building like that, a facility like that, work for not only the people around us, but for our surrounding municipalities. And, again, that's very important, I understand, but I think everybody in the room should be happy that you have a group of people that are here, both paid and volunteer, that are willing to do what they're willing to do. Shauna, you have anything?
No, nothing else really. It's just we would like to continue to have these amazing events that we have and have this safe place where people feel like they can come to a parade or a fun fest or anything else without those fears. And it is our job to circumvent the problem, think ahead, and prepare so that nobody else has to be worried. And I think that this team does a fantastic job of that, as proven by the fact that we purchased vehicle barriers before the most recent vehicle ramming incident, and we are asking for the shot detection software, firearm protection software, right before this very famous incident. So we are staying abreast, and we are trying to make smart decisions, and I'm really, really proud of that. And I think this public safety building will be another one of those very smart decisions. Do we have any other questions?
Yes, Shauna, I do. Ray, you talked about the big things, and you and I talked about this last week. Just take a minute and talk about some of the small things. Like last month, there was a power outage on 400 block of East 8th and East 9th Avenue, and everything, as far as I could tell, was handled very well. Big shout out to Bob Phipps, who was pretty much the mayor of East 9th Avenue. I did speak to a resident on 9th Avenue who was not involved in it, but who is very concerned about what could happen to her. She's an older woman, she has physical limitations, and when we talked, and your advice was to call 911.
So I think it's important, if we don't know, we can't do anything about it.
Right.
So I think it's important that you as council people, if people in your wards, if they have a specific issue that, some people don't like to talk to the police, don't like to call 911, don't know what number to call. If they talk to you, that information should be passed on because it doesn't go on deaf ear. So for instance, your person.
Yeah.
So we had Tim, who knows that person, go down and do a wellness check, speak to her, make sure that she understood that somebody will always check. If there's an incident down here, we know to go to that person's home. A minor incident can turn into a major incident.
Right.
A simple tree falling in the Borough of Conshohocken sometimes isn't a simple tree falling.
Yeah.
A 100-foot tree taking out power lines here, partial building here could cause a lot of problems for a long period of time, especially when, like this, was 90 degrees for several days. And Bob Fitz, who's a volunteer fireman, by the way, he took it upon himself to run the generator and do things like that. But those are things that guys like Steve and Megan and Calvin, they do that all the time. But they have to know. And the only way to get that back to people, to us sometimes, is through the council people. Police department tells, they can do what they can do. They run a 12-hour shift. Sometimes they're not back for a long period of time. They get it to the fire department. Ambulance, same thing. But it's kind of the community looking after each other. Somebody's got to speak up if they know that there's an issue. It'll get addressed. Nobody walks away from anything here.
Exactly.
Sometimes people like when you knock on their door and ask them if they need help, and sometimes people don't. But we'd just rather knock on their door and see if they need help and see what happens.
That's right. Yeah, and that's something that this resident brought up to me, that when power's out, even the landline doesn't work anymore. It's not like the old days when you had the copper line and you could call. And I did encourage her to speak to her neighbors. But is that something that we can do, is to just maybe, if somebody says in an event like this, we'll always contact you?
I think in a nutshell, you're in a good municipality. You're in a municipality that has the means to handle these kind of situations. And we don't have to, if we need to do something, we will do it. We don't, there's limits to what should be done, but I really don't want to get into that.
Right, you have to know.
What we need, as long as it gets back to the fire services, the police department, it will get handled, and it will get handled appropriately. It always does. We've never had any negative feedback. I haven't, I don't believe Stephanie has, from any type of scenario where we've attempted this as somebody.
Good, thank you very much, Ray.
I'd like to touch on that with a smaller emergency that occurred just on Monday. And I received the call because this gentleman was an older gentleman who uses a walker, was afraid to call 911 or an emergency number because this wasn't an emergency to him, but he had knocked into the fire extinguisher in his building with his walker, and it fell off the wall, and he couldn't bend down to put it back up, and he was concerned. His apartment that he lives in is above a restaurant in the borough. So having a fire extinguisher that's at the ready is important. And I called Steve Young, and he was a little short-staffed that day. Our fire chief's on vacation. Megan wasn't here that day. And 20 minutes later, Steve calls me. It's back up. Everything's good. I called the resident back. He had just fallen asleep for a nap and was shocked that the problem was already fixed. So even the most minor emergencies, if people don't know who to reach out to, they can reach out to the admin office. Everything gets addressed, and I was really very proud of that. And I felt bad even calling Steve. I knew he had a lot going on, and he dropped everything and fixed it for this man. And I thought that was really special.
Right, thank you, Sean. I think a lot of us forget that people who aren't physically capable of doing things are all over the borough. And it's nice to know that you're taking care of them all. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any other questions? No? Okay, we can move on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Job well done.
Don't underestimate the strength of these people.
So ready to go.
I like it.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, moving right along. Next item on our agenda this evening is under Land Use Matters, Public Hearings, and Ordinances. We have consideration of approving Resolution 2025-24 that would be approving preliminary/final land development for 113 West 8th Avenue. Any questions related to the information we've received on 113 West 8th Avenue? If there are no questions, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the resolution 2025-24 that would approve that preliminary and final land development.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item under Land Use Matters, Public Hearings, and Ordinances is to have a discussion on an amendment to the borough's solid waste ordinance. So at this time, I'll turn the mic over to Mike Peters to discuss a proposed amendment to our solid waste ordinance.
Sure. So the admin received a request from both the L&I and Public Services departments for an amendment to the solid waste ordinance. It's a very common sense amendment. It is to deal with the issue of bed bugs with respect to mattresses, and the amendment would affect the following changes. And again, it's sort of common sense, but there was nothing in your ordinance previously. So it would require that mattresses and box springs be placed curbside for collection only after the owner or occupant has actually contacted the borough. They're going to be picked up pursuant to the borough's rules and regs for bulk collection, which already exists within your ordinance. Just like bulk collection and the setting out of trash generally, they can only be placed on the curb at 5 p.m. of the day prior to collection. The main requirement requested by your staff was that all mattresses and box springs shall be placed in a waterproof, airtight, sealed bag prior to being placed at the curb, and failure to comply with that would set the property owner up to the fines and penalties already under your solid waste ordinance. So that is the change. Again, it's very common sense. There are bed bug issues in every municipality, and yours is no different, and this would help to protect your employees. So that's the draft that I was asked to put together, and again, I think it's very straightforward, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
So this might be a silly question, but sealed bags for mattresses of different sizes, where, if I was someone, I would say, where do I get that?
Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah, literally, like it's as easy as that. Yeah, they are readily available. I don't know if like mattress stores and stuff sell them, but they're readily available.
Places like U-Haul sell them too.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, and they
I'm sure
sell the
do.
cheap ones. Like if you want one for home use, we're
So probably in our information
Yeah,
material,
that's
we
a
would
great
point
idea.
people in that direction.
Yep.
Rather than just leave them out there hanging to try and figure out
Yeah,
where to find them.
you want to do some kind of information push so people know that this is in place. Yeah.
Is this a common ordinance in other municipalities?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think unfortunately it takes someone to request it to have it put in place. And you have now had that request, so you're ahead of the game, even if it's not.
Yeah, it's not something I would have thought of.
Yeah.
Stephanie, do you expect administratively to be any cost to this, to implementing this ordinance? Okay. Okay.
No, if anything, if there's a violation of the ordinance, there's a penalties provision that allows you to recoup any costs that you might incur.
Okay.
They have
We
one
did
in
have
White
this in my
Marsh.
ward, where somebody did have bed bugs, and the guys were like really.
Yeah, sure, right, take them home.
Didn't feel good about collecting that. So this is really important.
So there's no vote on this evening. This is just the discussion component. We will get the ordinance put in front of us for a vote at a future meeting.
Yes, has to be advertised, and then at your next meeting, you'll authorize advertisement of the ordinance, and then it'll be back on an agenda once the public has a chance to review the ordinance, and then you will adopt.
Great. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay, great. Moving on to the next item on our agenda, under council business, we're looking to conduct an interview with an applicant for the Friends of Conshohocken Parks. At this time, I would invite Jennifer Briston.
Hello.
How are
I'm
you?
Jennifer Briston. I go by Jenny.
Jenny, nice
Thank
to
you
meet
for
you.
having me. So recently, I've been volunteering with the Friends of Conshohocken Parks, doing everything from going to their events, picking weeds, watering the flowers, and then this month I sent out the newsletter, so hopefully some of you got that. So I hope to continue participating, and I want to get a little bit more involved. My background's in marketing, so I thought I could help them with the fundraising side of things. I live in the area, so it's really easy for me to, get around and help out with the park. So really excited about this opportunity.
So you mentioned that you've already been working with the Friends of Conshohocken Parks?
Yes.
So I guess you already have an understanding of what the time commitment would be for this?
Yes. Yep.
Can you tell me, are there any projects or ideas that you have that you would like to implement as part of the Friends?
I do. So there's a few different ones. Smaller scale would be like, I noticed in Ambler, they have, these little signs that say like maintained by Ambler, like Friends of the Park. So we could do that here. Very easy to do, wherever the park is or wherever the committee's helping out with the parks, and it would have a QR code, so then users or people could sign up, and receive updates. And as far as the fundraising goes, anything from like sponsorships, of course, with local businesses, anything merchandise related. I know the Fun Fest is coming up, so I'm sure that there's going to be opportunities there. And then, just doing more park themed and events. Maybe incorporating some like fitness and wellness. I know there's already yoga in the park, which I think is great. I know there's a lot of different municipalities that do like a fun run, so like like an annual run through the parks would be another idea. So there's a ton of things that we could do to fundraise and kind of promote coming together as a community.
Question for you. How do you take your marketing experience and translate that into fundraising experience?
So I think it's really about awareness. So kind of just making sure people know when events are going on, volunteer opportunities, so they don't have to go out and search it. So it's kind of at the ready. If someone wants to get involved, having the information out there. I think this is maybe the first newsletter that actually went out and kind of said what they were doing. So maybe that will pique some interest in other individuals as well. And again, just letting people know that the Friends of Conshohocken Park is there, and as a resource.
So there's been several small-scale sponsorships and fundraisers and things. Any ideas on how to kind of step that up to a little bit of a larger scale?
I think it will be like a lot of networking and meeting with different individuals within those companies and showing them what the benefit of, doing a sponsorship with the community would have for them. And of course, depending on the business, kind of saying, hey, for instance, I noticed today, like when I was running Sutcliffe, Yoga Home had a banner out there. I don't know if they're paying for that or not, but that could be a potential type of sponsorship. Or you could go corporate, which would be a little bit different, probably larger scale there.
Anyone else have any questions? Well, we love that you're interested and that you actually jumped in as a volunteer before
Yes.
you even wanted to be on it. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Okay. No other questions then?
No,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you
All right,
Jenny, for
yeah,
coming in
thank you
and
so much
hanging
for
in
having
there.
me. Thanks.
Thank you.
I was a little nervous. This is like an
No worries. All righty. Next item on our agenda this evening is under Manager Matters, and we'll be discussing a resolution that would be establishing temporary parking regs on East First Avenue. So Steph, would you mind taking us through that?
Yes, we have discussed similar requests from businesses in that area as well for temporary parking regulations. So as everyone is aware, Daniel's Restaurant has been closed. It is reopening as a new entity in early fall. Kurt came into the borough and inquired about options for to-go parking spaces. So their business is going to be, there's going to be a cafe component as well as a dine-in component. And their business, just like others in the area, would benefit from to-go parking spaces in order for those parking spaces to serve their businesses. And they're not, as you are aware, none of the parking spaces in that area are specific to one entity. They're put there specifically to assist our businesses because to-go is a big portion of their business model. So this request, we believe, is aligned with the other requests that have come in, just like Tony and Joe's, the Boathouse, the pub. There's one right on the corner of First. We are strategically placing parking spaces that don't eliminate parking, but help serve a different component of the businesses that help them thrive in that area. So we do believe from an administration that Kurt's request to do a temporary to-go parking spaces on a temporary basis to evaluate them, along with the others that are in that same vicinity, is something we should consider, especially in preparation for them reopening their doors, along with another restaurant right next to them, Vigiano's, which will be turning into something else as well. And then you have a new restaurant going in the corner as well. So it's going to be a busy thoroughfare up on First between Fayette and Harry. And we do think you should consider the request for the 2 parking spaces that would be to-go parking spaces.
So, just for the record, this is in the same area where there was a temporary resolution for the outdoor seating.
That's correct. And that is no longer going to exist.
That has expired.
That is correct.
Right, so there's nothing else on that strip being taken up by anything else?
That is correct.
Okay.
And where are we with signage and wayfinding in that space? So if they're going to have the eating component as well as the takeout component, and we're taking up some parking spaces from a takeout perspective for more than just them, but having temporary parking, how are we doing with signage and wayfinding for actual parking spaces?
We are working on it. It is definitely one of our priorities. We just had a meeting on Tuesday with one of the new owners of one of the restaurants that's going to go down there, and we did discuss parking, the potential for extended parking at the Pulver, at that parking garage there, new signage that will be going up, specifically wayfinding, but also directional signage to get to the parking garage, and also how to navigate that whole area. So yes, we understand it's a priority. Our operations team is working on it, and we are taking the feedback from those business owners. We had a business meeting to discuss parking, wayfinding, et cetera, because we do want their input as well, how the temporary parking structures are going, and also the one-way directional of traffic additionally. In addition to the wayfinding, we're also working on, Paul is working on an interactive map that basically, it's 3D, it's dynamic, you can pinpoint on a specific entity. It pulls up information that shows you what the entity is, what they sell, what they make, et cetera. It also shows you where parking is available. So that's going to be a new feature that Paul is prepping. We had the businesses come in first. We're having them take a look at it to make sure they're comfortable with the information that's rolling out on each of their entities. We're utilizing NEF for that as well. So a lot more push in that, business-friendly commercial realm.
So we don't think that there will be any barriers because that property that a lot of this is going to go on is private property that we would need to partner with them to get signage up, correct?
In terms of the Pulvers?
Yes.
Well, we have a parking agreement with them, and there are provisions in the parking agreement that give us certain rights. So we are a leasee to their private property. It ultimately is private property, but we have to ensure, just like they have to ensure, that they're providing a safe environment for public parking.
Thanks.
Yep.
Any other questions related to this?
What are the hours that the to-go parking is enforced?
The to-go parking is enforced with the rest of the parking. Correct? Yes.
So is there
Same hours that would be regulated for a regular parking space. The to-go is regulated in that same way.
and how many are on First Avenue right now?
If you agree to these 2, then there'll be 3 total.
Oh, okay. Just to note in there, well, can you clarify, aren't there 2 new restaurants coming in also beyond this?
Yes, which they'll have access to these to-go parking spaces as well. So when we're saying that it's being requested by Kurt and their new restaurant, it will service that whole strip.
And then just from personal experience and that being the ward I live in, a lot of those restaurants that are right there, typically you see a lot of to-go orders coming out of them. So I believe there's a sushi place, and then Eat Greek. So definitely lots of to-go orders. So I can
And you
see.
have business owners, again, that are meeting with us one-on-one, that are excited to be here, and we're excited to have them. So they've been very positive conversations in terms of what's coming, and that's exciting.
The only other feedback kind of that I've gotten from residents about parking for these restaurants is handicap accessible and being close enough to the restaurants for handicapped people to be able to enjoy them. So as we're thinking about through that, we need to take a look at the handicaps component.
There is a handicapped parking spot in that section there. It's not very well marked.
Perhaps.
And maybe that's something we could dial that up a bit.
Or perhaps, as opposed to a parking spot, a drop-off zone that is very accessible.
Well, that only works if you're...
I'm just throwing options out there.
We can take a look at it.
Yeah.
And these two spaces can't be on Harry instead of
No.
on First?
No, that was not the request.
Any other questions? All right, hearing no other questions, we have no action this evening.
No, we would like, if there's any feedback from the public, we would welcome that, and then we'll bring that back to council in 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is to consider approving a block party request submitted by Product Investigations for an event at 151 East 10th Avenue.
Yes, so Product Investigations is celebrating their 50th anniversary, and they would like to open their doors to the community and welcome neighbors that are in their vicinity. So they would like to plan a block party on Saturday, October 18th. It would run from 11 to 3. It would require the closure of from the alleyway that's between 9th and 10th on Hollowell to 10th. So it's a small portion of the street that would require closure. And their plan is to, again, open their doors, give tours of their facility. They feel like they've been here for a very long time and they've done 50 years of work. But they're kind of, nobody knows that they're there, nobody knows what they do. And so they do a lot of clinical trials. And they would like the community to become involved in their organization. So they are planning a road closure, they're planning a food truck, a moon bounce, and then other just amenities, face painters, balloon artists, etc. Just to get the community excited about who they are, what they do, and be good neighbors. They did reach out to the neighbors in the vicinity, and they did indicate that they did not have an issue with it. So they said that they would be open to, any questions or concerns that anyone in the vicinity may have. But that's it.
Any questions related to the block party? I do have a question, but I'm full of questions tonight.
Yes.
I believe that we have some programs that we've done in the past around recognizing businesses for X amount of time in the community through accommodations and different things. Is that an option that we could potentially kind of look into for this?
We have another one that's coming as well, and so we're looking to kind of group them together. But yes, we are looking into that.
Wonderful, thank you.
We have a 20th anniversary of another entity that's coming up, so we're working with them too to see how they'd like to recognize that.
Wonderful, thank you.
I have a question.
Can you wait until the end, Verona, do you mind? Okay, thank you. Just, we'll try and keep everything lumped together. All right. Any other questions from council? Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda is to consider approving tuition reimbursement for Sergeant Hall and Detective Bahn for the 2025 fall
Oh, sorry,
semester.
are we doing a motion on the previous?
No, there's no vote on that this
No
evening.
vote this evening. It'll be
Okay.
in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for double checking me. All right, next item on the agenda is tuition reimbursement for Sergeant Hall and Detective Bahn for their 2025 fall semester. So I'm looking for a motion to approve a tuition reimbursement for Sergeant Hall in the amount of $1,878 plus the cost of books and tuition reimbursement for for the cost of books, and then tuition reimbursement for Detective Bahn in the amount of $1,714 plus the cost of books. Looking for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Looking at the next items on the agenda, we have no department matters. We have no legal matters to discuss this evening. Moving right into council member and mayor matters. The mayor is not here. Did he give us anything to celebrate? Okay. The mayor is on a well-deserved family vacation, so I hope he has a great time with his little chickens.
I have nothing tonight, thank you.
I do have something. This is something, again, that was brought to my attention by a resident. And it has to do with the public access, the meetings. This person does not have internet, as several people in the borough do not. And she wants to know, is everything that goes out over social media, does that also go on the public access?
On the TV station?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because I have not watched the public access, so I didn't know quite how to answer that. But she was unaware of certain things, like the cab having free on the weekends, and I told her I thought everything did.
It should be all going up on the public access
Right.
TV channel, so we'll check it and make sure that the information is consistent, and I will ask that they just double check to make sure moving forward that it is all there.
Surprisingly, some people are not on Facebook.
We don't. We do have a large group that utilize that public access
Yes.
channel, so it is important.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
Anita?
Nothing.
Okay, and I have nothing this evening. So at this time, I'm going to ask for public comment. So I believe that we had a comment in the back that I kind of cut off, but we want you to definitely have a chance. Would you mind coming over to the microphone so that folks can hear you? There's a microphone right in the middle if you want to just stand there, if that's closer.
Yes, my question was for the block party.
Yes.
That you mentioned coming up in October.
Yes.
The block party is the anniversary block party.
Yes, the company is celebrating their 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
So they would like to celebrate 50 years of service and celebrate with the community, open up their doors to the residents that are in the area.
All right, my question also was from what block to what block?
Yes, so if you're on Hollowell between 9th and 10th, they're asking to close. There's an alleyway in the middle between 9th and 10th, just from that alleyway to 10th.
Right,
That's
right.
it. Just it's a
That's
small
the
portion of the street.
research place out there.
Correct.
Right, right.
They do the clinical trials, yes.
Oh, wow, that's the month.
October?
October?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, fine. After my birthday, I was saying that it was very nice. I live down Pleasant Valley Apartments, and I was just thinking we are not able to do a block party. So I was thinking in honor of Jessica Logan, who just passed, the crossing guard, would it be possible to think, I was just spontaneously thinking today, that it would be nice to get a water ice thing. Angelo Carpet and I are friends on the corner. A lot of us down there cannot afford schools. So it would be nice. I've done stuff like this in Philadelphia. That's where I'm from. And it would be nice, like I said, to honor Jessica Logan. It would be nice to have it there because she sold candy, she sold sodas, she sold a lot of different things in her home to compensate the children where I lived at Pleasant Valley and other people in the community. Jessica Logan did a lot of stuff in this community and where we lived in Pleasant Valley, where she lived across the street. She even did bus excursions to New York for shopping. She did another couple of excursions, just different things that she did, and it opened my eyes, and I was able to just see her do it. I wasn't able to be physical because I was being compensated for an injury I sustained in a hospital, but I was very impressed with the work she was doing for the And I said all of this to say this. Angelo Carpet and I have a little rapport. And I would like to get him involved as well, because that would be a good spot. Her home is right there where she lived. I know it's going to be a big responsibility. I have a neighbor who has a teenage son who is 14 going on 15. He needs something to do. He's always in the house. He's under a truancy situation. And it would be nice to get him to come out the house with, all right, let him pick up, because it's going to get messy. It can't get messy. Pick up the stuff and whatnot. And I'm just saying, it's something really nice. I can embrace it. As well as Adrian knows that I make cupcakes. Susan, you know I make cupcakes. And I just would love to invest in something like this for not just us at Pleasant Valley Apartments, but the community. It would be nice to see Adrian come up with little Navi and come get a water ice. You know, it'd be nice for my grandson, who I haven't seen in a year, come up with his dad and my adopted grandson, and come get him a water ice, or even I can invest as much as I can. I'm pension, I'm on a fixed income, and I'm on Social Security. And being a businesswoman on a medical leave, I have not been able to go to work for a long time. It's okay, God got me, I'll be fine. Being the evangelist that I am, I just would like to do something nice for the community, the children in the community, the toddlers, the children. When I come outside and go around my back, hi Miss Rona, hi Miss Rona. Some call me Verona, I'm Miss Rona. And it's really nice. I talked to a neighbor's daughter and I said, you know what? You're gonna go back to school, are you going to? She's a middle. She has 2 older siblings than her. She has a younger sibling than her. I look out the window and I see her biting her nails. And I think, wow, what is she going with? All right, it's none of my business said and done, but the mind of a child. I was a middle, and it brought me to experience disturbing situations to where it made me nervous breakdown when I became an adult. It's always nice when you can recognize something. Me being an evangelist and a woman of God, it's just me and her talk last week, because I had gotten a water ice to Philadelphia, where I go daily to help my brother, who's just been given a second chance of life. And thank God he's up and he's walking. He's not in a wheelchair. He didn't lose his leg. He didn't lose his feet. Thank God for Dr. Marley over at Presbyterian Penn Health. When I had a young toddler, he looks like he's 3, he's 5. He starts kindergarten this year, Aiden. And he was eating his Italian water ice from the supermarket. I said, wow, that looks really good. You gonna let me have Miss Rona have some? He's like, okay. So I tried his, and I will ask a toddler. I used to work at the school district in Philadelphia. So I love children. I love challenging them, seeing their development, asking them for this, see are you gonna share? And he did. It was beautiful. I said, wow, I got a water ice at home in my freezer in my butter bowl from Aldi's. It was a strawberry mango. I went to church for the first time. Susan, come on, I just went to church for the first time in like a year and a half. And it just felt really good to go to church at St. Paul's, which is my original church and community. And we just had fun. You know, it was really nice to sit with him. He enjoyed the talk. He's getting ready to start kindergarten. He even mentioned something, Mommy, they've been going to church somewhere else. And he said, yeah, we go to church for Jesus and God and to love. And that just melted my heart. You know, that really made a difference. And I really love to just see children be children. Don't stress them. Yes, I live in a very, very busy complex. Y'all come, y'all go, this, that, it's fine. I come out, what's going on? All right, let's do this, do that, because I'm that person on the block. I'm that person that has had to deal with that when it came to my oldest son who wanted to commit suicide and jump in front of the train station and jump off the bridge. Thank God he's 37. I just talked to him today. Darian is doing extremely well. He's at his church over in Philadelphia, my Erie Church of God in Christ. Their Board Bishop East Regional Rally tonight. And I'm very thankful that he's there. Excuse me, I thought I cut it off. And I just think the world of him. My other son is Isley Robinson, who worked for the borough. God bless, that was my brother. God bless him. God bless him. Thank God he's not in the wheelchair, he's up, he's walking. Thank God. Met a very unique Dr. Marley over at Presbyterian Penn Medicine. I was in him with his appointment last month on the 15th. And I sat there and I'm thinking, he's on the thing, got his foot up. We're not going to take his whole foot, we're just going to clean up the infection. Thank God. Marley came in, he gave my brother a hug. That really touched me. I said, you come over here and you give me some of that. Gave me a hug. I'm working on it now. I have another person in the community. She just lost her baby sister. I'm getting ready to get sweet potatoes, cupcake, gingerbread, all kinds of stuff. I have to make sweet potato pies as well as cupcakes. I make gingerbread cupcakes with cheesecake in them. I'm very unique. I'm very different when it comes to my baking. And I take it very serious. It's therapeutic for me.
So Verona, I think your advocacy is wonderful for your community, and I think it's something that both Adrian and I can have a conversation to see if there's anything that we can work with you to see if we can put a group of people together for what it is that they'd like to apply to the borough to potentially do down in that space. So I would be willing to work with you, Adrian, on pulling something together for that. So thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for caring about your community.
I wanted to tell the guard lady also I'm a volunteer at Chestnut Hill Hospital.
That's
I'm on
wonderful.
a medical leave. I stay on medical leave, so
That's great.
I just want to let her know. You ever need another volunteer to order, do something, certain time of the day, I'd be glad to help.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Verona, for coming in.
Any other public comment this evening? Brittany, anything come in while we were chatting today? All right. So that brings us to the conclusion of our meeting. So at that, if there's no opposition, I will call meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.